Dion win.
Hi everyone, welcome back. Maybe welcome for the very first time, and today we're going to be talking about what I saw at Sundance Film Festival 2021. And you may be looking at the date of this video, and yes, it is April, and I attended Sundance in January. But I only came up with the idea of this after going to Glasgow Film Festival and thinking to myself, well, actually, these would be quite handy videos. So I've done Glasgow, Berlinale, and South by Southwest so far, so please do check them out. And the whole intention of this is to keep a log of all the films I actually saw, and then eventually there will be longer reviews coming out sporadically over the next 6 months to a year, because God knows when some of these films will come out. But Sundance was a very interesting experience because it was all virtual. I obviously wasn't over in America watching these films, and actually this was the shortest amount of films I'd saw out of all the festivals. I actually only saw 8 official films, but I actually talked about censor in my Berlin video, so we're only going to talk about 7 in this, but they are all really worth chatting about and for you to add to your watch lists. So enough talking, let's get to it. So the first film I want to talk to you guys about is 8 for Silver, and this is from a director called Sean Ellis. This was a werewolf period piece that was just oozing gothic cinema, and in many ways it really gripped me from the very get-go. It's very slow paced, but it's really indulgent, and it kind of takes you back to the days of Hammer, I guess, but maybe with a bit more polished cinematography. And through the whole sporadic system of this film, I was just easily intensified by really dark imagery and very cold ambience that kind of built and built. And within like period pieces, they don't always work necessarily, but with 8 for Silver, it really was a wild ride, and I can imagine a lot of people are going to really like this film. Some, if you don't like the things like Crimson Peak of the recent years, then it might not be for you. But if you really want something that's quite fresh for a period piece, and it actually revolves around werewolves, which werewolves are not always portrayed very well in horror anyway, this might be for you. Next up, we have Mass from director Franz Kranz, and this follows the story of the aftermath of a shooting, and the parents of the killer confront parents of one of his victims. And it's a really intense chamber drama that is just full of very passionate and heated discussion about the topic. And going through this whole film, it just grips you with dialogue alone, and the tension from all of the actors is absolutely harrowing, and it felt so real. And I think that's a testament to how Kranz directed this film. It's very methodical within its execution, and it kind of doesn't really follow the mass conformities of what these films can be, but the heavy dialogue, and there are some really long monologues, which is again one of the shining examples of why Mass is such a good film. I will be planning on making a longer video review about this because there is a lot to discuss, but within this, I would just say add this to your watch lists. Next up, we have Judas and the Black Messiah from Shaka King, and it follows the story of Fred Hampton, one of the leaders of the Black Panther movement, and it's played by Daniel Kaluuya. And by now, you all know this is a massive award contender film. And when I watched this film, I was really gripped by it, because I think what Shaka King does, he doesn't really give you the full history. It's just more of the momentum of the period and this kind of deceiving element that we have between Kaluuya's character and Lakeith Stanfield, who is an informant for the FBI. And this intensity isn't exactly one of these like conformist types of thriller dramas, but it just allows the film to breathe a lot more. And I think the basic sense of filmmaking that the film has allows performances to shine even more. Daniel Kaluuya as Fred Hampton is probably going to win him an Oscar on Sunday, the 25th of April, which is amazing. I'm so happy for Kaluuya if this actually happens. But the performance is something that really stuck with me more than the actual film. I really did find it to be a very striking piece of cinema, but potentially a film I may not revisit for quite some time. Next up, we have Sean Sono's Prisoners of the Ghostland. This has been reviewed on my channel already, but I've had a lot more time to think about this film now, and in all honesty with you, it's kind of withered away in my mind quite a bit. I don't really know why that is, but I just didn't engage with it as much, and I really do think it's more down to this is not Sean Sono's kind of written screenplay. This was written by somebody else, and he's kind of adapted it within its own way. And as I mentioned in my video review, I really do hope that Sono kind of explores this world a bit more and potentially writes his own screenplay next time. And yes, it was an entertaining film, and I really do hope that everybody gets to see it eventually, because I'm really surprised nobody has actually picked this up. But I'm sure it will make its way in cinemas and on Blu-ray and DVD at some point. But if you're a Sono fan, you're going to love it. And if you like Nick Cage, you're going to love it. So why would you complain like me right now? Next up, we have The World to Come from Mona Fastvold. I've seen this film like 3 times now. I reviewed it on the channel. It's actually one of my most watched videos of this year so far, so thank you very much if you have watched it. But I really loved this film, and it really sticks with me. I love how Fastvold kind of like conjured the seasons with the emotions that's going through this love story between Catherine Waterstone and Vanessa Kirby. I just love the chemistry, the music. Everything about this was just beautifully painted onto the screen, and I really want to see more films from Mona Fastvold. It really annoys me when directors make films sporadically like this, but if you haven't seen Sleepwalker from either, again, watch it. Again, this has Christopher Abbott, Casey Affleck, indie darlings in many ways, and then Waterstone and Kirby's performances are just absolutely beyond this world. I adore The World to Come, and it's not getting much love, which surprises me, but hey ho, that's how life goes at times. So check it out. It's available on like most VODs by now. Next up, we have Pleasure from Nina Thyberg, and this was the one that I was really anticipating, because I always find the exploration of the seedy underbelly of the pornography industry to be quite interesting. Like PTA's Boogie Nights is like one of these shining examples of it. And now Nina Thyberg's film really was eye-opening and absolutely grueling to watch. This is a divisive film, and I will make a full video review about this once it actually is closer to the release, because once you go through this film, you think to yourself, the moral compass of it is quite interesting, and I don't oppose to sex workers, and it's work. Their work is their work, and that's how life is. You just accept it. But I think once we go into the sense of pleasure, it really just dissects this business a lot more, and it just opens your eyes in ways that I didn't expect. I've seen a lot of documentaries about this business and this industry and how the women really have more control than the men and they make more money. Louis Theroux has done very interesting documentaries about this, but going into Thyberg's film, I wasn't expecting much, but it was one of the best films I've seen this year. I really hope that you add this one to your watch list. Honestly, I don't really know what else to say right now, but stay tuned for a longer, more wider discussion about it. And the last film I want to talk to you guys about is In the Earth from Ben Wheatley, potentially one of my favourite films of the year so far. It's actually come out in America last week in the cinemas, and it's coming out in the summer in the UK. I'm going to go on a little chat about Ben Wheatley anyway, but Wheatley has not made many great films recently. We can all forget about Rebecca on Netflix because that was not his best nor his shining moment. But over the last couple of years, he hasn't really made a film that feels like him. And once I got into In the Earth, I was like, fucking hell, this is Ben Wheatley at the finest pinnacle point of Ben Wheatley's career. And it just takes you back to the earlier years of what Ben Wheatley is and was. And genuinely, it just gave me a lot more confidence. Even though I know he's in the studio system now, he's working on the Tomb Raider sequel, he's working on Meg 2. These films, yeah, okay, Ben Wheatley is making them probably to help finance other projects that he will have over the next few years. But this is one of the best films that was made during the pandemic, I think. And in many ways, it kind of resonates so much with what has gone on in the world over the last 12 months. And genuinely, it's one of the best horror films I've seen in a while. It actually freaked me out at times. It was quite bloody and disgusting. I hate anything to do with feet in horror, and this kind of toppled me over at times. But once you get the chance to see this film, do not hesitate. Just go and watch it. It is one of those films that you will actually love. So those are all the films I saw at Sundance. I told you it was going to be a shorter video than the other what I saw at videos, but they are all very interesting films that potentially you might want to add to your watch list. I've already reviewed In the Earth, The Will to Come, and Prisoners of the Ghostland, but probably I will review Pleasure and Mass also, because those were the other two that really stuck out for me the most. I think Judas and the Black Messiah, there's so many video reviews about this already, what's the point kind of covering it? And then if anybody is interested actually in what else have I got left then, well, 8 for Silver, let me know, because I might do it eventually. But yeah, just let me know what you thought of any of these films if you've seen them in the comment section below. My next video will be out on the 1st of May, and that is the So We Want to Get Into Nagisa Oshima, which I'm in the middle of making right now, and kind of like re-going through his filmography is just making me happy. So thank you very much for watching. Make sure you watch any of my previous reviews. I've recently reviewed The Scary of 61st, and also I'm Your Man, Ich Bin ein Mensch, so check them out if you haven't seen them. Plenty more reviews to come from the film festivals I've attended, along with whatever else that just comes along and tickles my fancy, I guess. So I hope you're doing well. Like, share, subscribe, do as you please. And as we normally say on this channel, Diolch, danke, obrigado, merci beaucoup, arigato, dankeschön, bitteschön, all the shuns, and obviously never change. Bye.